When it comes to the cost of cows these days, people are having a cow now, aren't they, huh? People got beef with beef, approaching $7 USD and LB for ground. It's grinding down people's wallets. But how did we get here, huh? Well, after decades of disaster in the beef biz, the small mom and pop cow-calf shops are finally price takers on all ends no longer. And society's rioting. Beef farmers aren't allowed to win, are they? Goddamn. But hey, I think they'll be winning a little while longer yet, as structurally this business is stuck. Society's screwed because they're keeping cows from screwing. Cattle birth rates these days dropping quicker than the West, for Christ's sakes. And honestly, you'd be shocked just how interesting this story gets. So gather round as we inquire today, when will a pound of beef stop costing a pound of flesh? And Christ, okay, I can't think of any other funny cow puns to carry us out of this intro here off the dome, but imagine I did, okay? And it was hilarious, and we all laughed. Oh, that was a good one.
Take you down.
If you're hoping for costs to come down, you'll be crying till the cows come home. It was right there. Fuck! Anyway, sorry, what was I saying? U.S. calf population is at its lowest point since 1950, okay? And just to give you some context here, the last time that US was in 1950, they had a population of 151 million people, which is about 40% of what they got today, okay? And, you know, if we're doing comparisons, I should also note that beef consumption back in the day was about 42 pounds per person per year, compared to 56 pounds per person per year right now. That number is falling, but that's also because the beef price is rising, so it naturally would be higher than that. And so back in the day, they consumed 1/4 less beef than they do today, and they had 40% of the population you got today, okay? That is not good for the cost of beef. Supply and demand dictates that shit go up. And it is. But in terms of the overall beef population for cattle, the cattle currently in the States for beef is about 86.5 million. Back in the 1950s, though, when you last had this low calf population, that was about 80 million. Which means that implicitly, this herd is going to fall further. The calves dictate the future. I mean, Christ, it's actually gotten so bad that Tyson meat packing plant and slaughterhouse people, they just cut capacity that is equivalent to 7.5% of your entire country's ability to produce beef. Take that in. 7.5% of your entire slaughterhouse capacity and packaging is gone. And I mean, that does sound bad, but don't worry, it's already priced in. And by that, I mean, they already were over capacity on production ability by 13% post-pandemic. So really, it doesn't actually change shit, all right? They're just rebalancing to market realities, okay? But hey, at least heifer populations on feedlots are down, which, fuck. Okay, first off, heifers. Heifers are female cows that have yet to conceive a calf. And also, I should really state that I do use cow to mean all cows. In the same way that I use car to mean all cars, okay? A truck is a car, goddammit. I will die on this hill for Christ's sakes. And I don't give a shit what you think, okay? Go have a cow in the comments for Christ's sakes. I will just say it. Cows are cows. I don't care if definitionally a female cow is what a cow is. The boy cows are steer. I don't give a shit. Steer me away from that opinion, okay? I call all cows cows, and I don't give a shit what you say. Anyway, also, feedlots. Feedlots are the final stop on the road before the slaughterhouse, okay? So the mom and pop cow-calf shops, they basically raise the cows from calf all the way up to about 600 pounds usually, and then they ship them off to the feedlots for final fattening before being forked over to the slaughterhouse before fork and knife on your plate, okay? But hey, at least the heifer population in the feedlots is down, which should imply a rebuilding season. You know, the cow cycle, the cattle cycle, this is a real thing. Usually, when the market's doing great, you sell off all your cows, the population goes down, but then there's a rebuilding phase where they stop sending all the heifers off to slaughter and keep breeding them instead. And then that's when the population grows back. Usually it starts with a downturn. But again, like I said, you'd think, oh boy, the heifers in the feedlots are down. That means that we're in a rebuilding phase, which means the end is in sight. We will be back to normal beef prices within about, 2.5 years. No, that's not what that means. And to explain that, let me tell you a little bit about cow STDs. I bet you didn't see that one coming, but let me be telling you, the cows do become. This reminds me, back in the day on my beef farm, right? I remember exiting the family farmhouse one day and I'm like, Father, what are the cows doing over there? They're always doing that. What are they doing? And what I was witnessing and asking about, you see, okay, cows, they're just standing around the pen, mooing about, eating grass, whatever the fuck. And then every once in a while, a cow will come up behind another cow and it'll be like, moo. And then the cow on the ground, it'll start going like, moo. And it's like scuttling about, trying to get away. But the cow on the back of it will kind of like toddle along, like, moo. And I was like, Father, why did they do that? Just imagine him breaking into a cold sweat like, It's piggyback, son. They are giving each other piggyback rides. Isn't that nice? And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. And I don't think I realized. I think I was like 16 when I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I don't know why it took me that long. And honestly, even better, as I grow older, I really appreciate the moment that he must have experienced. Just like, oh God, what do I say to this kid? But even better though, not just was it explaining the birds and the bees or the moos and the mees or whatever the fuck. It's also all cows, and I call all cows cows, but definitionally was the way they were on our farm. All cows were girls on our farm. And so not just was that normal cow sex, no, I was witnessing some lesbian action, okay? And so not just would you be like, oh God, it's sex, but also it's like, oh, this is technically gay too? Oh God, should I explain? You don't explain gay shit to a kid at like 10. I don't fucking know, right? Like imagine the fucking thought process and conflicting thoughts that we're going through. That was hilarious, is what I'm saying. I could just really appreciate all of the concern. It's just a funny moment. Anyway, sorry. Birds, bees, cows, STDs, all right? So you see, Mexico, they got a bunch of cows south of the border and they be coming north of the border. Back in the day, that was fine. But about 2005 or so, I want to say, they cut off the access there specifically for any breedable cows. So any heifers coming north of the border got to be spayed, neutered, because of brucellosis. Brucellosis will fuck your shit up, all right? Raw milk. That's actually how you get it. You see, cows get it from, but then the milk that they make, it is inside the milk. And so all of the raw milk enjoyers basically would die off if this was allowed to breach containment. This is why you don't drink raw milk, by the way. It's cool and all. Drink it warm right out the udder. It's an experience, okay? I will say that. But brucellosis, if it were to be north of the border and among the cows, you could not drink raw milk because what brucellosis does, it's a bacteria. And this bacteria, when it gets in you, the number one symptom that it gives you is like, picture you're just so tired and so weak, you can't pick up a cup of water type shit. Like this is crippling and it lasts for weeks to months. And you take an antibiotic to get rid of it, great. And it's hard to get rid of. But then, chronic Lyme, right? Like Avril Lavigne got that, skater boy, see you later boy girl, Canadian, she got it. Chronic Lyme cripples you. You ever hear of chronic brucellosis? Like first off, the symptoms. Let me read you off the symptoms of brucellosis here. I forgot. You got fever, chills, sweating, joint and muscle pain, headaches, heart tissue swelling, arthritis, spinal issues, and loss of appetite among others, right? Bad shit. You literally get like POTS and shit. Like it's just horrific. This is a horrific illness to get. And like I said, weeks to months to get rid of. Then if you get the chronic kind, you're like that for life. Okay, that's your life now. That shit's permanent. You were just fucked for life. Every few weeks to months, it'll just reappear and be like, oh, you got this shit again. And then you just can't lift a cup of water type to your weakness. You can't get out of bed because the blankets are too heavy. That type of shit. And it lasts for weeks to months and then it fucks off again. And again, there's nothing to get rid of. You can't take a course of antibiotics to get rid of this because it's just chronic. This is just your life now. It's permanent. You were broken and this never goes away. In short, scary shit, all right? So this cow STD that gets in through raw milk and would kill off all the raw milk enjoyers pretty quickly if we were to allow it to breach containment, this is horrific. And so all cows, all heifers that come north of the border from Mexico must be neutered and spayed, all right? You're following this. And so basically all these cows from Mexico, they are not breedable. They're not able to contribute to the stock, but they're still allowed to flow north of the border. No longer, because of a second issue. This one's not venereal in nature, okay? This one, the fucking New World screwworm, is a fucking nightmare, all right? Unlike most other in its family, this specific fly will fucking go on an open wound, like let's say the cow gets dehorned, or maybe the steer gets castrated, all right? Either way, if there's any sort of cut, no matter how well treated it is, if there's any wounds, even if it's healing, doesn't matter, will go and lay its eggs there. And then when the eggs are like, I'm a maggot now. It eats the flesh, but unlike every other family member of this fly species, it doesn't eat necrotic or dead tissue, it eats the living flesh. And usually, whatever the fuck it's eating drops dead within a few days, and then a few days into this feast, these maggots will just flop off onto the ground and then fucking become their own little screw flies, and then they fly off, and they got a 20-day life cycle. Do you know what happens in that 20-day life cycle? 5 broods, totaling 3,000 eggs per female. Like, this shit multiplies exponentially. And also, not just do they be fucking, they be flying too, okay? 200K they fly within that 20-day period of a life. Holy shit, all right? That's crazy. And so that's what they do. They fly 200K or 120 miles within that radius. They lay 3,000 new ones to go at, and it's a 20-day period this all happens in, and it just keeps repeating and exponentially growing. It's a nightmare. And how did we get rid of it? It used to be endemic to the southern US, actually. That was its native range, but we got rid of it. And honestly, I did not know we had this technology in the 80s, but we did. Basically, we went out and we're like, all right, we're gonna put a bunch of of fools screw flies to screw, okay? They're gonna be screwing all these sterile screw flies, and then no kids will be coming when they come. And then that's just all she wrote, and somehow that worked, and I don't know why we haven't done that to the fucking mosquitoes. Come on. Anyway, sorry, okay, so the screw fly is screwed up, and it's gonna screw up all of our fucking livestock and shit, and maybe humans too, who knows? And so we keep that shit south of the border through quarantine, but the thing is, it was eliminated from Mexico too, until recently. Farmers' worst nightmare. And so they shut that border down. And so if you look at the amount of heifers that are no longer in the feedlot, it looks like, hey, it's a rebuilding year. The cattle cycle starts anew. No, because if you back out the amount of Mexican cows, the heifers that were neutered and spayed to begin with, so never contributing to the growth of the population, you back out the amount that are stuck south of the border now, that's the amount that it went down in. So there is no rebuilding phase to be started here. And by the way as well, the Mexican farmers got real fucked too by this shit, because the Mexican farmers, when you neuter this shit, you have like a 180-day period that you can send that shit north of the border before you're no longer allowed. And they're going through a drought right now too, so they're paring down their livestock population as well. And now they got a bunch of old maids essentially that they can't fucking get rid of. Like, it's, again, they're overproducing beef. Getting rid of it, they're gonna have their own beef apocalypse here soon for pricing. But anyway, that also means no hope or help is coming from south of the border too. We're on our own here. The North American cattle population has collapsed. So, surely there's some sort of market incentive to make the breeding cows come about again, right? There's some sort of market incentive coming to save us, right? Oh, there's market incentive, all right. Incentive to fucking send every goddamn heifer to slaughter right away, okay? Because let's be real here, the cow-calf operations out there, you do the math. Every March, I think, if I remember correctly, is calving season. That's when all the calves come about. And then from there, by fall, you can sell that shit off, at least in Canada, I want to say $3,300 in your pocket, which is nominally the best it's ever been for the beef industry. And especially when you get these upper prices, typically that's when you really earn that margin, which means you get way more money proportionately. And so this is like the time to be making hay, okay? It's never been this good. And in fact, beef as a business has been fucking awful for decades. Like, genuinely one of the worst types of farming to be in. That in mind, $3,300 in my pocket, guaranteed if I sell this heifer right now. Or instead, the alternative, what you're asking of me essentially as a farmer would be, I'm gonna keep this cow, keep feeding it for another 5-6 months, let's say, right? Get her up in age and body weight to the point where they're breedable, and then you have a big bull come down, right? And the breeding bulls, I want to say, they rock up and nut up to 50 times a year, let's say. That's 50 cows taken care of. But the cows themselves, we got the gestation period of them, right? 9 months, same as us. And so you get the breeding bull down there, and then it takes another month or two in the pen before that bull mounts, so to speak, you know, the proverbial piggyback, let's say. And then from there, okay, you gotta wait another 9 months for it to be gestated, and then once the calf is born, then you gotta wait another fucking 7-8 months before they're old enough to be able to be sold. And so overall, you're looking at 2 years extra for not much extra, and in fact, probably way less, because let's be real here, this is the peak right now. This is the best it's ever been in my lifetime to be a beef farmer, okay? And what you're banking on is essentially saying, oh, I know it's the best today, but 2.5 years from now, when all this shit's taken care of and I finally have a new cow to sell, then it will somehow be better. Oh, and by the way, it's also the worst time ever to be raising a cow because the costs have gone up so fucking much, way more than inflation. And so not only is it the best time to be selling the cow early, it's also the worst time to be raising a cow into breeding. This is why the beef industry is structurally screwed. They're stuck in short supply because the best price to ever be selling at early is right now. And conversely, the worst time to ever be keeping that shit to be bred is also right now. There's no planet in which it makes sense to keep that cow for breeding. And honestly, the beef industry in general, I think, is to blame in part too. And I don't mean the beef farmers, by the way. No, it's a natural reaction to the beef industry and the way it is, because you get paid dick all for all your years of work, decades on end. Literally never a good time to be a beef farmer until now. And so with all this in mind, you're like, oh my God, I can't fucking let my kids befall this fate too. I gotta dissuade them from ever desiring to take up the fucking plow. And oh my God, why would you ever want your lineage to? It's literally like we're stuck in purgatory, okay? The rest of you have escaped, but for the 1% left still stuck farming, God help you, okay? And so these farmers, they know this, and they're like, okay, I gotta make my kid not want to be a farmer. And I was one of these kids. My father refused to ever take me farming as a kid. You think trains or planes, whatever dumb shit's cool, fuck you, okay? I had tractors right outside my bedroom window as a kid. That shit is dope as hell. Goddamn right, I wanted to go check out those tractors. I always had toy tractors and shit. I love that shit. I'm like, Dad, can I go plowing with you or like planting? And he's like, no. And it's because God fucking forbid you ever have your kid want to be a farmer. farmer because, again, you need to rescue your lineage. We're in purgatory here. We need to fucking escape. And you don't do that by making your kid grow to enjoy farming. God fucking forbid, right? And so you try and do everything in your power to make them not enjoy it. And so I never was really brought about on the farm. I mean, I was for the bad things. Like, for example, you gotta go and feed the cows every morning silage. You gotta go shovel silage, right? Summer, winter, Christmas morning, doesn't fucking matter. You can't leave the house, by the way. You're stuck, you're chained to these cows because you have $500,000 in assets that need to be fed. And if you aren't there, you can't hire someone and trust them to do this. Like, you could if you're lucky, or if you get lucky with a farmhand, and you gotta find basically an autistic man who has no other social life and just enjoys farming. That's the only type of farmhand that can fucking function in this role. The rest of them are unreliable. And so you're just chained to this farm. You gotta feed these cows constantly. And so he'd send me out there, and child labor laws, they exist, but they are exempt for farm kids. And I fully agree with this. I agree with that. I am down for the child labor. What I'm not down for, though, is the fact they have minimum wage exemptions too, okay? Why am I getting paid a quarter of minimum wage for this bullshit? This is fucked, okay? I don't think the kids should have full access to the full funds because minimum wage doesn't sound like much, but if you have no expenses, that shit stacks pretty quick, right? I never felt more rich in my life than I did in high school. $25 an hour, roughly, with commission at Bell. That shit, I was fucking wealthy. Wealthier than I am today. Anyway, dissuaded from being a farmer. My sisters weren't, though, because my sisters, girls don't usually want to take over a farm. And then so they could do 4-H and shit, and they got to enjoy it. And around when I left for university is when this script flipped, okay? And it's because we pared down all of the different farming that we actually did. The only way we escape this cycle is by basically stop being farmers financially. We are now entertainment farmers, I'd call it, because we basically earn all of our living off of people paying to go walk through a cornfield that we mow a fucking maze through. And it's beautiful, but it's so dark that the only way to win at farming is to effectively stop farming. That wasn't a clear path back in the day. In fact, my first waking memory of farming and business and my family's finances was bovine spongiform encephalitis, okay? Every 3 years, we'd almost be losing the farm, whether it's hurricanes, a strawberry virus that was covered up. But the one that scarred me most was bovine spongiform encephalitis. The fucking British, okay? They were feeding the cows to the cows. They got prions in their brains, and the brains with the prions were then eaten by the British. And the thing is, the prions can affect us too. And so 10, 20 years later, suddenly you drop dead from this overnight Alzheimer's. It's the most horrific shit ever. Prions are terrifying. Oh my God. And the thing is, it was in the UK, okay? And so to this day, I want to say that the UK cannot donate blood if you're of a certain age. And honestly, I'm thankful for that. I don't want some fucking British bullshit flowing through my veins. Gross. But the British, they exported those cows. And so 2 or 3 made it to Alberta, and they fucking got quarantined immediately. It was fine. But the thing is, our nation got quarantined because of that shit. Our beef industry collapsed, and it took over a decade for it to even recover to the point it was at before, and that was not a good point before either. Like, fuck! It's awful, okay? God fucking help you if you're a beef farmer. All of this shit, losing the farm every 3 years scarred me to the point where as soon as I got to be an adult, that's why I started a fucking private equity firm at age 22, 23. I'm working 100 hours because I just need to get my money right, so I just don't have this worry, this fear, because my dad, if we lost the farm, I don't know what the fuck he'd do, because I don't see him being an employee. He's a great worker working for himself, but to work for someone else, I'm sure he would do what needs to be done, but like, fuck, I just don't know, but it's fucked, okay? God fucking help you if you're a farmer, okay? If there's one thing certain in this life, it's that God hates farmers. Don't you ever look me in the eye and try and tell me otherwise, okay? There is some primordial sin that this occupation must have done against God. I don't know what, but if there's one thing clear through the way that life is, it's that God fucking hates farmers, and you cannot convince me otherwise. And actually, the more I think about it, thinking back to the cow piggyback ride thing, that was lesbian shit, right? Like, the cows are girls. That's gay. No fucking wonder God hates us. Because if there's one other group God hates smoking kills. What the fuck? No one told me that. God damn. What was I saying? Oh yeah, God hates farmers. Don't ever fucking forget that, okay? Don't ever let anyone try to tell you otherwise. It's an objective fact. Just look at the evidence, okay? But anyway, as I was saying, whether it's the fathers or the sons or the Holy Spirit convincing them either way, no one is coming to be the next generation of farmers, for better or worse. Way she goes. Anyone sane would look at this and say, fuck that, right? And so many are. And so we were at, 90% of people on this godforsaken continent being farmers back in the day, 2 centuries prior. Look at today, we're at less than 1% left being farmers. And of that less than 1% left, over 2/3 of which are over the age of 55, which means clock's ticking, okay? They don't got much time left. Nothing sadder than seeing an old farmer out in those fields fucking gonna die of skin cancer any day now, skin looking like leather. Oh my God, their bones are creaking. It's just sad. You hate to see it, but that is the average farmer these days. Retire. But they can't because it's a fuck-ass industry and they gotta make hay while the hay's making good, okay? And so what you're left with is no one coming in to be the next generation generation of farmers, and the issue is the next generation of farmers, the young bucks, are typically the ones doing all the breeding ops, because the old wizened ones look around the market and they're like, this shit doesn't make sense financially, and so they don't. And so no new cows are being made, okay? And we are all fucked for it, and beef is not gonna fucking recover because we are structurally screwed. But if there is one nice thing to come out of all this, it's nice to see the mom and pops winning. You never see that these days anymore, do you? This industry, for better or worse, partly because it's the worst industry to be in, you don't see the corpos coming in and taking it over like you do with the feedlots, and for once, they're getting fucked, and thank Christ for it, okay? Go fuck yourself. Love to see the corpos losing, okay? But anyway, as I was saying, we're all fucked structurally. Shit ain't gonna be getting better, so where's that leave us, okay? Where are we going from here, huh? What? And so how's all this shit gonna be shaken out, huh? Well, I hate to say, but I think government intervention, God forbid, is the only way. Because as it stands today, you're either gonna see population figures continue to spiral down and down, or at best stabilize into the sorry state you see today, thereby leaving far fewer cattle for us to be killing to cover our consumption demands for beef, okay? And yeah, sure, beef cattle have gotten bigger over the years, but we sure as shit ain't doing to them what we've been doing to chicken over the years, and so that's not fucking saving us. And so what we're left with, you see far fewer cow-calf operators year by year, far fewer youngins to be running breeding ops with, and yet when you look at costs, the expenses to raise a calf to a cow or a cow to conception are through the roof, and yet conversely, you're seeing the profits for hocking off a heifer to the fucking feedlots right away, again, through the roof. So between all this shit, import shuddering and more, this is why you're seeing all of the fucking supply shocks and structural failures of the market that you're seeing today, okay? And so like I said, government intervention, I believe, is the only way for us to be solving this issue. You're gonna have to subsidize the cow-calf operators to keep their heifers and start breeding with them. A few cycles of those done, and population figures can recover to what they were before in the before times, right? Thereby breeding out any sort of profit the cow-calfers briefly had. And so now you might be thinking, oh, well, why would any fucking farmer agree to that then, right? They're not gonna do that, and you'd be wrong then. They're gonna do it, okay? And it's not because of some tragedy of the commons or them betraying each other for their own self-interest. In fact, it's the opposite. They're gonna do it because they're the only group left in society with any sense of moral obligation to their fellow man. They're the only ones who think the social contract still exists. And honestly, you may think, oh, well, there's many other honorable occupations out there, right? All I'll say to that is they sure as shit seem to love to get together and collude to say, hey, wait a minute, we got leverage here. Fuck you, give us more money, or else we're going to withhold from society healthcare, education, law and order. You sure as shit don't see farmers say no fucking food now, do ya, huh? And it's because, again, they are the only group left in society that still is fighting that good fight for the social contract. They're the only ones who are still putting the group above themselves and doing what needs to be done to their own detriment, okay? And all these other occupations that are so honorable, they get to go home to a wage, a pension, job security. You're not allowed to fire most of these groups because that's what they've bargained for through threats and action of strikes, depriving society of critical resources that, again, we deem hyper important, right? That's why they're honorable. You don't see farmers doing that. In fact, farmers, yeah, they got assets, but they dwindle because farming is not profitable. You have a few years of making hay every once in a while, but all that does is raise back up the fucking water, but then it keeps dropping. And if you ever hit zero, you fucking lost the farm. And do you know what the fucking answer after that is? You kill yourself. That's the next step. Because what have you done, right? Your forefathers, everyone that's come before you has worked, and the farm is the summation of the value of what they brought to this earth throughout their time spent collectively on it. And you blew it, you lost it, you're a failure. No other job asks you to feel this way. And they're gonna do it. They're gonna take these subsidies, again, to their own self-detriment. And it's tragic, but it's gonna happen. And honestly, it sucks because farmers are the hardest working people. And I'm not glazing them for any sort of incentive or obligation. There's nothing compelling me to do this, okay? I'm not inheriting a farm. I have no horse in this race, okay? And no reason to be saying this other than for the fact that it is a statement of fact, okay? You fucking get shit on as a farmer because anytime you do well, people hate you. People hate to see a farmer doing well because by doing well, by definition, that means society is not doing well because food prices would thereby be through the roof and people are rioting, okay? You're not allowed to do well. And so what few times you are allowed to sneak through any sort of profits, they're so few and far between that you remember them for your entire life because that's how little it comes about. And yet, even in spite of that, again, they're gonna fucking take the subsidies to their own detriment. And it just sucks because you hate to see it happen to a better group of people. And so don't worry. I mean, do worry because the cattle cycle's a decade, okay? So don't be expecting beef prices to be back to where they were before tomorrow, okay? It's gonna take a while, quite a few years, but it will certainly be back. It will, because they're gonna take the fucking subsidies. It's morning.